Welcome back everyone, my name is Lee from Levi's Kitchen. Today we're going to turn these Roma tomatoes into pizza sauce. So I thought I was done with tomatoes, and then my friend told me that she had a pile of tomatoes she needed off weight. So she gave me 2 huge bowls of these Roma tomatoes that look beautiful, and I'm going to make pizza sauce with it today. And I'm going to show you how I do it and how easy it is. So firstly, I'm just going to get my oven preheating. So I'm going to preheat it to about 180 degrees or about 400 degrees Fahrenheit. So just very similar to the tomato sauce or passata that we made. We're going to slice our tomatoes that have been washed into quarters, and we're just going to put them into a roasting pan. So these roasting trays I'll use later on, so I am going to just use these ones. So I actually got 3 trays out of this, so I'm going to get these into the oven and I'm going to bake them about 180 degrees or 400 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm going to bake them for about half an hour to 45 minutes until they look nice and dry and all the skins are all blistered and everything. So I've just taken 2 of these out of the oven, nice and roasty. You can see all the skins have all now shriveled up and everything, so that's perfect. Still got 1 more in the oven. So I'll just let these just cool down slowly, then I'll process them just a little bit in the food processor, and then we'll put them through the tomato press. So this is a Bellini, which is a knockoff Thermomix, and we have a few brands here in Australia similar to them. And I'm going to be honest, I'm happy I only spent the $250 on this one, because if I spent $2 on the Thermomix, it'd be gathering dust in the pantry. Usually I would just use it for processing, and that's probably about it. So with your trays, don't wash them just yet, we're going to use them again later. So all we're going to do is going to pour that chopped tomato up into there, and we'll start turning it. All the sauce will come out the front here, and all the scraps will come out the side here. The scraps we'll put through a few more times to make sure we get absolutely everything in. That delicious sauce. We're going to do the rest and then we'll be back. So that's all from the first pass. Now we're going to put through our pulp again a second time and try to extract out as much as we can. And I don't have much pulp left, so this is going to go straight to the compost, but if you had a lot left, you could also make the tomato paste with the scraps as well, which I'll link the video up there for you. Alright, so now we're going to grab our tray that we were using before, and we're going to pour this into a tray like so. Probably seems like a lot in this tray, but we're not going to be thickening it up to like a tomato paste consistency. We're only going to be just almost just evaporating all the excess water off, so our pizza doesn't go soggy, which won't take long. So now we're going to put this into the oven. If you're doing this while your tomato puree was cold, I suggest you put this on the stove first, warm it up. This has still got steam coming off, it's still warm, so I'm just going to put it straight into the oven. So it's really important you use that tested recipe. So I've got the All Complete Book of Home Preserving. Now, really important that you don't modify the ingredients too much, because it can change the pH and everything. So it's really important that you find a recipe that really suits you, okay? So firstly, I went to the pizza sauce that's in this book, and it has lemon juice as the acidifier, and I don't like that. So I'm going back to the basic tomato sauce. That allows me to add dried herbs as well. And it also allows me to use citric acid as my acidifier. Now, if you wanted to add onions or something like that, I would suggest you look for another recipe. So for example, this Italian style tomato sauce, that's got onion and celery and everything in it. If you want to put that into your sauce, I'd probably follow that recipe to can as your pizza sauce. And that way you can make sure everything's nice and safe. So I've just taken this out of the oven. It's been in there for about an hour, and you can see it's a lot thicker now, and it's got not a lot of that excess water, so when we put it onto our pizza, it's not going to make our crust all soggy. So now I'm going to put the mix-ins in, and then we're going to can it. So for your canning recipes, most recipes will ask you to add your salt to the jars and your dried herbs. But the issue with that is, I want to know how it tastes before I actually can it up, or else when I open it, it might not taste great, and then I'm not going to want to use it. So I'm going to salt it to taste. So I've got a tablespoon here for now. I'm going to stir that in and just taste it. And then that way it's all salted to my taste. And then I'm also going to add some fresh herbs. Now, they recommend you only use dried herbs because it can alter the pH of the tomato sauce. But I'm going to be using a small amount, so I don't think it should affect it too much. So it's a bit of a no-no, but that's what I'm going to be doing. So now I'm going to add my herbs. And you don't have to can this, you could also freeze it as well. Freeze it in small little takeaway containers or something, and then just defrost it the day before. But I don't have any freezer room, so I'm going to can it. Let's try it with that little bit of fresh basil in there. It's really good. So it's just got that little hint of the herbs in there, nothing overpower or anything, and that's how I want to keep it. So now I'm going to heat this up on the stove and just make sure it's nice and hot. And I've also got my jars in the sink heating up in some hot water, and I'm going to get my canner started. So I've got this heated up. Now I've got my warm jars here. So these Kmart jars, and they're 300ml jars. I'm still going to treat them like pint jars. So pint jars are about 500 mils. I'm still going to treat them the same. So I'm going to put the same amount of acid, and I'm going to process them for the same amount of time. I really felt that they needed to be in small jars because I'll use probably about this much when I have the family down, rather than my big, huge, proper jars. So now I'm going to fill them up to a 1/2 inch headspace. And you can see how thick, nice and thick that is. So that is not going to go anywhere when we put it on our pizza. Now, just something I just realised, I forgot the citric acid. So for each pint, you're going to need a 1/4 teaspoon of citric acid. This is a 1/8 teaspoon, so I'm going to put 2 of these in. Good thing I remembered. I do recommend you put it in first, so then you don't forget about it. But I'm sure it was stirring fine. There we go. And when that's canning, it'll stir into it anyway. So all we're going to do is grab our debubbler. You can also just use a chopstick as well. Make sure it's not metal. And just make sure there's no air bubbles in here. See, that one dropped actually quite a bit. And then we can also check our headspace. So the second notch on this one is our headspace. That one is perfect. Perfect. This one just needs a little bit more. Like so. So I knew there wasn't be enough of this fifth one, so this one's going to get a lid on it, and that's going to go straight in the fridge, and I'll use that next time I do pizzas. Alright, so now we're just going to wipe our rims. So I've just got some vinegar on some paper towel. And then we're going to put our lids on. So these are one-piece lids. These are very common over here, but obviously use your two-piece lids if you can get them. Alright, so now they're going to go into a warm canner, and I'm going to be using my homemade steam canner, but obviously you can do water bath canning for this. Alright, so let's get these in here. This is a steam canner, so it only has about 1 inch of water in it, so don't need more tongs for this. Now we're going to put the lid on, crank the heat up. Then this is my barbecue thermometer, so I'm going to put this in there. Once this reaches 100 degrees and doesn't go up any further, that's going to mean that all the air in there is at 100 degrees and it's at boiling point, and then we can start our processing time. So once the heat reaches 100 degrees, then we can start timing it for 35 minutes. Alright, so now this is at 100 degrees. That's not going up any further. That indicates that this is at completely boiling point. So now we can start our processing for 35 minutes. Right, so now it's been 35 minutes. Now we're going to turn off the stove, let it cool down for 5 minutes, and then we're going to take them out the counter. So now we're going to let the jars cool down on the bench for about a day and make sure they're sealed properly, and then we can store them away. So I really hope this helps you, and hopefully this helps you make a really good pizza sauce that you can keep on your shelf when you're ready to use it. So if you like this video, don't forget to give it a good old like. And if you want to see more, don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching.